Have you ever been asked what you want and you instantly respond with, I'm good with whatever, even though you're not? Or you start explaining something that actually matters to you, and halfway through, you soften it, you shrink it, or you turn it into a joke. Not because it's not important, but because somewhere along the way, you learned it's safer not to take up too much space. And then later, maybe you feel it, a little frustration, a little disappointment. And that quiet thought of, why didn't I just say what I meant? If you're noticing moments like this showing up more in your conversations and relationships lately, there's an astrological reason for that. Venus has just moved into Aries. Welcome back, friends. I'm Astro Kara. Here, we translate astrology into real life insight so that you can understand your patterns and grow through them. Venus represents love and connection. It's what you value, how you relate, and how you experience your own self-worth. Aries represents instinct, identity, and self-definition. It's the part of you that knows what it wants before your mind has time to overthink it. So when Venus moves through Aries, something interesting begins to happen. Relationships stop being about waiting to be chosen, and they start becoming you doing the choosing. And this shift can feel surprisingly uncomfortable because you were taught that thinking about yourself first is selfish. You were taught to be desirable, to be agreeable, to be easy to get along with. And rarely are you taught to begin with the simple question, what do I want? And if you're realizing while listening to this that you actually do soften yourself a lot, adjust your opinions, or try not to be too much for people, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You were trained to maintain connection by minimizing yourself. Venus in Aries is here to interrupt that pattern, which is why this transit can feel both empowering and uncomfortable at the same time. Because authenticity is impossible if you're absent from your own equation. Venus in Aries is asking you to bring back you to the equation. And here's the part that most people miss. This transit isn't just asking you to state your desires. It's asking you to work with them more consciously. And if you're wondering how to actually use this energy in real life, this is where my Thrivuary Method can help. It works through 3 phases: the observer, the architect, and the alchemist. So let's start with the first phase, the observer. Before you can change anything, you start with observing. Imagine this. You're out with friends trying to decide where to go for dinner, and someone asks, "What do you want?" And you feel the answer immediately, but there's a pause. And instead of saying what you're really thinking, you hear yourself say the polite, expected thing. I'm good with anything. Venus in Aries is bringing energy into this moment where you start noticing your hesitation. And you begin asking yourself things like, where am I denying my own mind? Where am I waiting for someone else to make decisions just so I can go along? And where do I say it doesn't matter when it absolutely does? This transit will highlight these moments when you're overriding your instinct in order to maintain a sense of connection within a relationship. And at this stage, we're not trying to fix anything. It's just about noticing it. Radical authenticity always begins with pattern recognition. The second phase is the architect. Once you start seeing the pattern, you can begin making intentional adjustments. You can ask yourself, if I honored my desire here, what would I do differently? And sometimes the answer is very small. But those small moments are where self-trust begins to rebuild. It might look like saying, I need to think about that, instead of automatically responding with a yes. Maybe it's letting a text sit for a while instead of replying immediately out of obligation. Maybe it's just simply saying, that doesn't work for me, without feeling like you need to justify your reasoning. It might look like noticing the moments when you hesitate to share your opinion and choosing to say them clearly instead. And these don't have to be dramatic changes, but they send a powerful signal to your nervous system. My desires are allowed to exist in this space. And the more consistently you practice these micro changes, the more natural authenticity begins to feel. The third stage is the alchemist. And this is where deeper emotional shifts begin to happen. Because the moment you start choosing yourself, something else appears. And that is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being seen as too much, or fear of losing the connection. And this is where many people retreat back into their old patterns. But the alchemist does something different. The alchemist stays present with the uncomfortable feeling. And instead of believing the thought that if I assert myself, I'll lose this connection, you begin slowly embodying a different truth. If I abandon myself, I lose myself entirely. And that becomes non-negotiable. Something powerful begins shifting inside of you. Your desires stop feeling reckless, and it starts feeling directional. Your wants become information. And you might start to notice when you feel energized around a certain person, or where you feel drained after conversations. Maybe you feel pulled toward an idea. Those feelings are data, indicators of something deeper going on within the consciousness. If you want more honesty in a relationship, that's information. If you feel a strong pull towards starting something new, a project, taking a risk, a conversation, that's information too. And your attraction becomes guidance. You stop chasing connections that leave you feeling confused. And you start leaning toward people, ideas, and experiences that make you feel more alive. And your boundaries become clearer. Instead of over explaining, you might simply say, "That doesn't work for me," or "I'm not available for that." And this isn't a rejection, it's honesty about where you stand. Venus in Aries is asking you to stop negotiating your aliveness. And authenticity doesn't start with self-improvement. It starts with self-reclamation. So during this transit, about the next month, practice noticing the moments where you disappear. Observe your patterns. Architect your new responses. And alchemize the fear that shows up when you begin choosing yourself. This is how you work with this energy at the deepest level. If this resonated with you, if you're starting to recognize these patterns in your own life, I've created a framework to help you work through them. It's called the Thrivuary Method. And it walks you through the same 3 phases that we talked about today: the observer, the architect, and the alchemist. You can visit my website, astrokara.com/Thrivuary, to explore the process and take a free assessment to discover which phase you're currently in and what your next steps are. So until next time, take care of you